A couple from Thornaby in Teeside have today been sentenced to life imprisonment for the murder of her 2-year-old daughter. Now, this is another absolutely dreadful, heartbreaking and sickening case. One of my subscribers did ask us to cover this a few weeks back. I looked into it because I didn't hear about it when I was covering the case of Varley the monster. Now, these are another two pair of monsters. So I did look into it then, but the case was ongoing and they were found guilty 2 days ago. And today, July the 30th, 2026, they have been sentenced to life imprisonment. But the sentence that they got, the minimum terms, Harrison Simpson must serve a minimum of 28.5 years. Alexandra Walker must serve a minimum of 22 years. Now, these two despicable, absolute monsters should have been given life without parole. He should have been given the same sentence that Varley got, that monster Varley, because he is an absolute monster as well. Because not only was he found guilty and sentenced to life for her murder, he was also found guilty of the assault of the poor little toddler. Penetration, the absolute wronging, absolute monster. I do hope he gets some prison justice when he arrives in the big house, because he will be going to Franklin prison, but again, he'll be on the bacon wings because he's an absolute bacon. But like I've said previously, just because they're on them wings does not mean they're protected. Now, Isabelle Welsh, there she is there. A poor little innocent 2-year-old toddler. Absolutely sickening. Now, I will go into the details of this, but I will tell you what I've read first, and then I'm going to read you a statement which I found online by the press. But this little one, this poor little 2-year-old toddler, this mother, in fact, you can't even call her a mother. She was Alexandra Walker's 25-year-old, and her partner, Harrison Simpson, 22. So 25 and 22, they could be out when they're in the 40s on them stupid little sentences. For the life of a 2-year-old toddler, they should have both. These two wrong'uns here, I'll show you them. Them two wrong'uns here should have been sentenced to life without parole. That absolute monster, 22-year-old, like I say, not only did he kill her, responsible for the murder, he also done that to her as well. But this was going on over a period of time. Even though these two had only been together a matter of months. They met on a Facebook dating site or something along them lines. It was on a website, but I do believe it was on Facebook where they met each other. And then within months, all of this was going on and happening. And that sick, wronging Alexandra, who couldn't even call herself a mother, for the treatment of what she's done and what she has let him done when she let him into her life. Now, anybody watching this who is having new male partners, do not let them around your children straight away. Be aware. Protect the kids. So that wrong, and hit this poor little bairn, Isabelle, had 21 broken bones in total. 21 broken bones. A couple of weeks previously, she was in hospital, and I feel so sorry for this nurse. If you're watching this, my heart goes out to you, because she had to give evidence as well when I was reading this. She was treating this poor little toddler for a broken bone in her thigh, I believe it was. It was a couple of weeks ago and I read this, so do forgive us about any little tiny details, but she went into hospital. They tried to say she had an accident. She had a broken bone in her leg. The doctors weren't going to let her go home. The nurse that was on duty knew something wasn't right, tried to get help, phoned the welfare or whatever, officers, social services, and one of the doctors signed her off and said it's not through neglect or abuse. So she was sent home to those two wrong'uns. And a couple of weeks later, when the little one was brought into hospital, into the paediatric ward or wherever it was. This same nurse was on duty and she seen her and she thought, no way, this can't be. And it was the same little toddler. And this time, unfortunately, she was dead. So she had to give evidence because she tried to stop this. She didn't want this little one going home. So this story contains distressing details, obviously something what I've been speaking about. But they've been found guilty of murder. Her 2-year-old daughter, the man also convicted of SA. Isabelle Welsh suffered multiple injuries in the weeks before she collapsed with a fractured skull at her home in Thornaby in September 2025. Alexandra, 25, and her partner, Harrison the Wrongen, 22, were both found guilty of murder and child cruelty, with Simpson also convicted of SA. So prosecutors previously said the couple who began a relationship in June, only a few months previously, like I said, were both responsible for a wicked campaign of SA and violence against that poor little one. They blamed each other for the girl's injuries. Isabelle suffered her fatal injuries on the morning of the 13th of September while alone with Simpson when Walker was upstairs in bed following a drink and drugs binge. I try not to say that word because it flags up. So Walker called 999 later that afternoon to say her daughter had collapsed at their home, with the 2-year-old dying in hospital the following day. The previously happy and mischievous girl was found to have a fractured skull, catastrophic brain injury, with doctors also discovering she was covered in bruises and suffered 21 broken bones in the weeks before her death. That is absolutely outrageous. 21 broken bones on a 2-year-old. She must have been in absolute agony. Prosecutors said Isabelle's abuse started shortly after Simpson arrived in her life. With the extent of her injury so obvious, her mother must have known what was going on. Of course she was. A matter of months. What a deluded, sick woman she is. They said Walker prioritised her new relationship over the safety of her daughter, allowing Simpson to spend time alone with Isabelle despite, listen to this, despite suspecting he was a bacon and nonce. When I read this previously as well, when I was looking into it a few weeks back, she actually went and Googled him, because when they went and got the search history up on the phones and the laptops or whatever they had, she had been searching his name on the Predator database. She was looking to see if he was a bacon, and she was still leaving her 2-year-old lassie alone with him. Simpson claimed he had no motive for harming Isabelle, while Walker said she did not hurt her daughter and was unaware of anything going on. Jurors reached their verdicts after 6 hours of deliberation. Simpson was unanimously found guilty of murder, cruelty, and assault of a child. Walker was convicted of murder by a majority of 11 jurors to 1 of cruelty unanimously. She was found not guilty of SA, the assault of her daughter. Miss Justice Norton said each murderer would get a life sentence, which it did, which I read out before. In a statement released after the verdicts, Isabelle's family said Isabelle should have had her whole life ahead of her, but she was taken from us in the most heartbreaking way. Well, I'm not being funny, but where was the other family members? If you have a family member and you loved the bairn this much, a 2-year-old, you've obviously not seen her for weeks, because if you had, you would notice when you give the little one a cuddle that she would scream with her broken bones and her injuries. While today's verdict cannot undo the pain caused or bring Isabelle back, it does mean justice has been served. We will remember Isabelle forever. Now, I do feel heartily sorry for the family, but like I've just said, where were you when all this was going on? If she'd suspected him of being a bacon, a predator, she's obviously said something with her family, and the family maybe have just disowned her, but you've disowned the little one as well. Detective Chief Inspector Steve Chatterton said Isabelle suffered catastrophic injuries at the hands of the very people who should have loved and cared for her. Walker and Simpson robbed Isabelle of her future, which they absolutely did. The absolutely disgusting wrong'uns. This when you're covering cases like this, it's absolutely soul-destroying and heartbreaking knowing that that toddler could have been saved. But where was the social as well? If the nurse, who I've just mentioned previously, had to give evidence, got safeguarding involved, tried to stop this little one from going home because she thought something was going on because of the broken bone, and obviously she'd probably seen the state of them two. If the pair of them went in and thought something isn't right, we need to protect this toddler. And of course, again, the welfare and the social services have let the toddler down as well, because they should have been going and checking to see what was going on. If that had happened and the little one was in hospital and there was some suspicion, where was the follow-up? How come 2 weeks later, when these two have been on a drink binge and smoking weed, she's went to bed tired, the mother, so-called mother, has went to bed, he's been left downstairs with that little one, or he's either went and getting her out of bed and took her downstairs so her mother couldn't hear what was going on while he was doing disgusting things to her, and then give her the catastrophic blow where it says he'd either shook her violently, well, he had shook her violently and smashed her head off the floor. You absolute disgusting wrong'un. Here he is there for the ones inside of prison watching, because there is a lot watch this channel, but of course he'll be on the bacon wing, so I don't suspect any bacon will be watching Behind Bars TV. Unless you're looking for updates, because just because the bacons are on the bacon wing doesn't mean they don't get access to phones. Look at Ian Watkins, got caught with a mobile phone, speaking with people on the outside who had little ones. So there is a lot going on inside a prison, what people do not realise. So he is on the wrong'un's wing, the bacon wing. She'll be in Lone Newton, and the lasses inside of Lone Newton prison, which is right next door. They'll be neighbours. Franklin's here. Lone Newton's right next door to it, same within walking distance. So there will be neighbours with a big, a big metal fence and a big concrete wall in between them, so they can't comfort each other. And she will be getting ripped to bits off the lasses inside of Lone Newton, and he hopefully will be getting something tore inside of Franklin, get a bit of prison justice off the inmates. He might even get the Richard Huckle treatment, who was ended inside of HMP Full Sutton for being Britain's worst predator. And that's what's going to be happening to the likes of him. But I just thought I would come on and bring you this news, people, because a lot of me subscribers have been asking for it. I've been getting messages and emails, but I did say I wanted to wait until the outcome and the sentence. I could have done this video yesterday, but I wanted to wait until they were sentenced. I was hoping he was going to be getting life without parole, never to be released. He's 22-year-old. His sentence will be up when he's 50. So he could be out when he's 50 or in his 50s to live the rest of his life. Where she could be out before she's even 50. And that little one didn't even reach the age of 3. These wrong'uns do not deserve to breathe fresh air or even be released back into society. The pair of them should have been given life without parole, never to be released again. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, people. Remember to comment, like and subscribe. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, but most importantly, stay safe.